What's up, brothers and sisters out there in YouTube land? This is Point to Shoot For, and I'm Brent Guffey, coming at you with a video today. It's actually an introductory video, but really it's a reintroduction video because me and another brother, we actually uploaded a couple of videos last Sabbath, Friday Eve, and the truth was in the videos. The spirit wasn't quite right. We were kind of joking and playing around. We didn't really plan to upload those videos actually on YouTube, but we got a little anxious. At first, we kind of felt like we made a good video, but or a good couple of videos, but it just didn't come off right. And we're not about we're not about offending people here. We're about getting the truth of this word out right here in the Bible, and not adhering to the doctrines of men, because I'm going to get into that here in a little bit. But we're here. We should be building each other up, not tearing each other down. Because I'll go ahead and tell you right off the cuff, we are a Torah observant, Christ following. I don't want to say organization, because just a group, just a group of like-minded believers. If you like what you hear on this video, like and subscribe. Leave a good comment if you don't mind. If you don't like what you see on this video, hey, that's all right too, because like I said, this is about building each other up. It's not about one side or the other, who's right and who's wrong. More of what we're about is it coming out of here, or is it a doctrine of men? So that's what it's about today anyway. We got a lot of things, I got a lot of content that I want to put out, but that's for the introduction. That's what we're going to put out there. So I'm going to tell you a little bit today about what, how we do things and what we're about. All right, I already told you that we're Torah observant. We believe that Christ did not die on the cross to do away with the Torah. Those are our instructions. If you're following Christ, Christ is your root. The Torah should be your fruit. That's the way we believe. Good fruit is obedience. I mean, isn't that what any good father wants from his children, is obedience? And I think what's going on in religion today is, I think unintentionally, what happens is they stray away from the word, and we should be like the Bereans, test all things and hold fast to that which is good. The way I take that is, if it's in here, it's good. If it's in the Bible, it's good. And this isn't the only, I'm a primarily King James guy, but I do use some other books for study. I'm going to show you those too. I've seen people get offended over the smallest things when it comes to this, whether we should observe Torah or not. What books people use to study, what versions of the Bible, and I do agree. There's probably are some bad translations out there. Not a big fan of the NIV myself personally, but that's just me. I don't like the way it reads. But I will show you this. I kind of want to show you some of the things that we do. Of course, I've already showed you this like 3 or 4 times, but this is the King James Bible. I do like to use that one. I really like the scriptures. I'm sure there's some people out there that don't observe Torah. They may say, "Oh, I can't believe you're using the scriptures," but this is a really good Bible. It's a lot like the King James. I'm going to show you something in here which is actually about how we got the name, or how me and Nate came up with the name. Hey Nate, what's going on, brother? I love you. Wish you could be here. The name of the I keep trying to say ministry. I don't know if we're a ministry. I don't know what all that entails, and I'm not. And as you can see, I'm not too too big on the YouTube thing. This is actually my second video I've ever done, and actually put it out there. So and I can kind of tell already after the videos that we made before, people can be pretty hard on you. So like I said, if you do make a comment on this video, hey, we live in a free country. We got free will. I'm all down for that. You leave it. You leave whatever you want to leave. But I would ask try to keep the comments. If you disagree with what we're about, because I'm not going to get into a whole lot of study today. I'm not. This is, like I said, this is an introduction video, and I'm kind of trying to get my camera legs, if that's a such thing. I know there's sea legs, but are there camera legs? I'm just trying to get some reps behind the camera too, because I don't know how this thing works. But I showed you the Scripture Bible. That's a great Bible, and yes, I do like to use the Sefer Bible. It's got the Apocrypha in it, and I've got no problem with that. I like to read things. I don't know why you wouldn't. I don't know why you wouldn't want to read things as long as it lines up with Scripture. I don't see where it hurts, and I've read all the Apocrypha books that are in the Sefer Bible, and they line up. I don't know. You know, you'd have to read them for yourself, though, and check that out. So if somebody's telling you not to read something, you might want to be weary about that. But again, we're here to build people up, not tear them down, you know. And here's something cool. Like I said, we're on the Torah observance side of things. We don't believe by what's in here that when Messiah died, that the Torah was done away with. We believe that there was an intent. Of course, there was an intent. I mean, the Most High doesn't just do things to do them. He knows the end from the beginning. He laid these instructions out for His people, meaning if you're going to worship Him, these are your instructions on what He expects out of you. I love, you know, I kind of almost hate to hear the people say, well, the Torah was just for the Jews, the Sabbath was just for the Jews, or the Israelites, or whatever they like to call them. That's true. Actually, it was for His people, and that's who Israel was, or is, and yeah, that's what it's for. But you know, if you take, I don't have a board and easel or anything back here or a background yet either, so we're pretty green. But if you take, say, this is the Most High here, like the Most High God, Elohim, which is plural by the way, but Elohim is here, or Yah. Some people like to call Him God. We like to try to use the name if we can. He has a name. We think you should probably use it. But if you don't, that's cool. I think He knows who we're trying to talk to. But if Yah's here, the God of Israel, He tells you that. He tells you that in the Scriptures. He tells you He's the God of Israel. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So that's who we follow if you're following the God that's in Genesis 1 that created the heavens and the earth and everything that's in it, and Adam and Eve. So if you worship, it's my belief from reading the Scriptures, if that's the God you worship, and He hallowed a day or hallowed days, you know, which He hallowed the seventh day, which is the day that He rested. If He hallowed that day, and that's the God that you worship, and He tells His people that that's a sign between me and you to let you know that I'm your God and you're my people, that's the day that we use for rest and honor the creation and honor the Creator of heaven and earth and everything in it. To me, that's the first step. That's right off the bat, which is why. That's why you should start in the beginning of the Bible. That was kind of what I was. You know, a little background on me. I grew up Baptist. I went to a local church here. I didn't get saved until almost 5 years ago, and I'm about to be 45. I didn't get, you know, I got saved. The first thing I felt like was the right thing to do was, obviously I was excited, so I wanted to tell my wife, because I know she'd been praying for me to get saved for years, because she was already saved, and we both grew up in the Sunday Baptist church. No problem there. Like I said, we're not here to tear each other down. I mean, we should be together earnestly contending for the faith on both sides. You know, we just got to come from here, and we got to drop all these doctrines of men. If the Father hallowed the seventh day and said to keep it holy, why is that so difficult to go? That's what it is, because He also said, I won't alter anything that comes out of my lips, and these laws, statutes, and commandments are forever and ever and ever throughout the generations. And I know there's going to be tons tons of people coming in and say, well, forever doesn't mean forever in the Bible. I've heard that. How do you know how do you know the seventh day is Friday night sundown, Saturday night sundown? The Hebrews kept really good records. That's why. That's why you have this right here. This first part from Genesis all the way to Malachi in this Bible. I'm doing a little turning now. Oh, it's about to get real. No. So, when you look at your Bible, look at this. That's the history of the Hebrews. Old Testament. See how thick that is? See what you got on the other side? This is spiritual commentary on this. So, Hebrews kept really good records. We know that. So, but we don't really argue about it. It is what it is, I guess you could say. But we're just laying kind of out like what we believe, because I think the worst thing that we could do is when we're talking to people. Number one, we should be coming in love. Number two, we should be coming to build people up and things like that. So I'm fairly new at this, man. I'm just, I've been saved for 5 years now. 3 of those years, me and my wife and family have observed Torah, and I was getting into that with kind of my testimony. It's probably not my full testimony, but I don't want to make a really long video for an introduction for the channel. So, growing up Baptist, Sunday church, great preacher, great people. I wouldn't trade any of the time that I was there, because it was great and I learned a lot. I'm not going to be dropping a bunch of names because I don't know how people feel about having things out there. As a matter of fact, I talked to today. I actually spoke to what was the youth pastor when I was there, which is the pastor's son. The pastor retired from pastoring, but not from preaching, and now his son is actually the senior pastor. So he shot me a text yesterday to let me know that and invited me back, and I thought that was great, man. They're such good people, and we texted back and forth a little bit, and then I asked the brother, because when I left, when I came to start reading my Bible from Genesis, and kind of found, kind of seen the Sabbath in there, and it started thinking, it started working on me, started going through the Torah, got the Torah read, those things were working on me. I was kind of like, man, if he don't change, and he's the Most High, and he has instructions or laws or Torah, whatever you want to call it, if he has those are probably good things. Those are probably not things that are there to hurt you. Like, let's take, for instance, in the Torah, in the dietary law, swine's an abomination. And people go, well, I'm not going to give up my bacon, or, I like to eat pig. Hey, our Father doesn't do things that are bad for us. He doesn't just take things from you just to be taking them from you. It wasn't made for food. And that's just how it is, and it's not good for you. So, like a good father, he gives you instructions. Don't eat it. It's an abomination to you. You could agree or disagree with that, but it's in here. And who is it to say that changed? We know now in this day and age from science that swine ain't good for you. You eat that stuff, you're probably going to have some problems. But he also says if you don't eat that stuff, and if you obey my command on the dietary laws, then you're going to have good health. You're going to have good health. I mean, and the other parts of the dietary law too. And then another thing that's kind of crazy is that, in Leviticus 11 is a dietary law where it says that swine is an abomination to his people. In Leviticus 18, it says that homosexuality is an abomination to his people. So you can't condemn one and condone the other. You can't be, you can't not be all right with this, but be all right with this, and, that's just some truth there. And I'm just laying out some things that make sense to me, and I'm also laying out some things that don't make sense to me, and I'm not trying to be condescending or anything like that. This is all with love. What I'm trying to do is put myself out there to try to do my part for the kingdom, because really that's all that matters. Our time spent here on this earth, it's like a vapor, man. We're only here for a little while. The kingdom's eternity. I want to spend eternity in the kingdom with my Messiah and be as close as I can to worship Him and all of that good stuff. So, I talked to this great brother. I'm going off on tangents. I promise as we do other videos, I'll rein it in, because I kind of tend to go digress a lot. But I talked to the brother today. It was a good conversation, and that's why I wanted to make the video today, because I made a couple of bad videos at first, and we posted those videos, and we got some comments. There was only a couple of good ones, to be honest with you, but there were some bad ones on there, and that's all right, because as far as I'm concerned, you don't have to agree with me. I'm not going to condemn you. It's like what me and the brother was talking about today. I told him, I said, I never told you why I left the church. We kind of left you hanging, and I said, that's not like a manly thing to do, and it's certainly not what somebody that's trying to follow Christ should do, is just leave your brothers hanging. They were probably like, man, what happened? Did anybody, did somebody say something? Did somebody do something? And I let him know right off the bat that wasn't the case. What it was for me was I started reading the Bible, had some questions. I did ask some questions while I was there, and got some answers. But as I studied along and as I kept going, I was still going there, and then I just kind of had to, then I was like, well, I need to, kind of pull back a little bit. I need to really get into scriptures. I want to do this. I want to read my Bible. I want to figure this thing out without a religion. And when I say that, I don't mean that in a bad way, but without the doctrine, because religion's doctrines of men. I mean, let's just boil it down to its least common denominator. Religion is doctrines of men, because when you start throwing religion in here, it gets all muddled up, man. People add their own input in there. Next thing you know, there's you got things like you don't have to do that anymore. That our Messiah came and died, so all that's done away with. Which, and if you really read the Bible, that just don't make sense. And again, it's not contention. It's just, I'm just talking here. I'm just talking. But I love my brothers and sisters on the other side. And when I say the other side, I don't mean it like that. I mean, it's, you got the Saturday side, you got the Sunday side, you got all these things, man, but it just causes strife, and that's not what we're trying to do. But it was cool. I learned something today talking to that brother, talking to that pastor, and what was really cool about him is nobody raised their voice. He didn't agree with me. He let me know he didn't agree, and I'm all right with that. And he also told me, Brent, I ain't got to agree with you to be a friend. I said, well, that's what I was looking for, because I feel the same way. I love you, and we left it at that. We had a really nice conversation, actually. And we may actually get together again, which is cool, because what I would like to do, as long as it doesn't get, too heated, is to sit down with some people that, may not agree with how we believe, but they're willing to come on and let's do an open dialogue on the show, and we can post that on YouTube. And it's not a win-lose thing, right? When you're doing a debate, you bring the material. The audience hears both sides. They decide who won in their opinion. To me, who would win would be who stuck with this and who went outside of it. That's just to me, but you should always bring plenty of scriptures. So, point to shoot for. How did we come up with that name? So, over here, and I can't believe I did that. I lost my place in my Bible. I was all ready. But it's Romans 10. I do know that. I want to show you something that's kind of cool. Some people don't think it's cool, but I think it's kind of cool because why wouldn't you reference, why wouldn't you reference things in different Bibles to kind of see? Because, you got the King James Holy Bible, and that's the King James Version of the Bible. It's got that kind of poetic, kingly style, these and thous and things like that in it, and, but then you get in Scripture Bible, it kind of leaves all that out, but it does leave the Hebrew names in and things like that. And actually the name, like if you can kind of check that, I don't know if you can see that, but no, you can't see it. I'm pretty sure you can't. But Yah's name, what's that?
In the original Hebrew.
It's in the original Hebrew. It's the Yod Hey Vav Veh, the I am. That's kind of cool. So Romans 10, this is actually the verse where I got the name of the ministry. I'm going to read it to you on both of them too, because I kind of could show you something here. On why we do what we do. Oh, there it is. I did mark it in this one. All right. Romans 10:4 in the King James Version. For Christ is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believeth. Now, I've heard, that's a popular verse that I get because I'm Torah observant. I follow Christ and I'm Torah observant because Christ followed the Torah perfectly, and he's the only one to make it to the right hand of the Father. So he said, follow me. Now, we can't be perfect, but the point to shoot for is what that verse actually means. For Christ is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone who believeth. So when you read it in the King James Version, it makes it kind of sound like Christ came, died, and then that is the end. But it's not like that in the Hebrew. The word end isn't in this one. Let me show you. For Messiah is the goal of the Torah unto righteousness to everyone who believes. For Moshe writes about the righteousness which is of the Torah. The man who does these shall live by them. And that's absolutely perfect. Because why would you put end in there anyway? It's got like 12 different meanings if you pull it up on the, what was that we had? What concordance was it? Strong's. I think it was a Strong. When you pull that word up in, it's got like 12 different meanings, and it's got point to shoot for, goal. Just kind of check it out. So it, more than likely, it doesn't mean end as in that's it, it's done. It means that he's the point to shoot for. So if you're thinking about an archer and the target's 100 yards away, he pulls his arrow back. That's the end. The target's the end, right? So that's the point to shoot for. So that's what we're doing. Christ is the point to shoot for this organization or family or whatever it is. So that's where we got the name from. Thought that was pretty neat. Me and Nate kind of came up with that. Maybe you'll get to meet him some other time. So that's where the name comes from, and it kind of sums it all up for us, because another thing that I get on this side when I try to speak to someone or they ask me, like, why do you keep the Sabbath day instead of going to church on Sunday? And I'm like, well, Christ, he didn't do that. And there's nowhere that I found from Genesis to Revelation in the Bible that says the Sabbath day was changed regardless of anything that happened, because in order for that to change, that would have to come from the Most High, the Messiah, or a prophet, which is the mouthpiece, and it ain't in there. And at the lowest level, it would have to come from some apostle. Still ain't in there. Not in there. Even if you try to use Paul, which I don't think he'd appreciate it too much, since he was a Sabbath keeper, he kept the feast, everything. We're talking in the Acts. We're talking in Romans. We're talking in all his epistles. Paul's still keeping the Torah. The Messiah had already ascended. So if he was the end of the law, why is Paul still keeping Sabbath? I mean, why is he keeping the feast days? I must by all means make this feast. You know, it doesn't line up. So when you come from the Bible from the Torah perspective of the Torah is God's instructions for us, for those who believe in Him and believe on His Son. If you throw that out, I don't see how you can even understand the rest of the Bible, because that's the foundation of the book. It's in the beginning. That's what it is. It's in the beginning. If you read the Torah and understand the Torah, when you go through the rest of the Bible, it's a whole lot better. It opens up. You can understand it. Whereas dogmas and doctrines of men, if you let those things creep in, things get confusing. And God's just not the author of confusion. That would be the adversary. He's the author of confusion. So I'm going to go to my handy dandy notes. So we should build up, not tear down. Satan causes division and confusion. The adversary does that. That don't come from God. So, you know, you got to be able to discern what's going on. And that's another thing about, if you don't understand the Torah and don't understand that the Torah is not done away with in the Bible, when you understand that, it's a whole lot harder to be deceived, because you already know if somebody's coming and they're teaching against the Torah, or then the discernment light goes on. Bam. Stop. Not going to work. Because that ain't happening. God said, whatever altars out my lips, it don't change. He don't change. Same yesterday. Hey, baby. That's fine. You go right ahead. The Father said, I'm the same yesterday, today, and forever. When Messiah came, He said, I'm the same yesterday, today, and forever. So that ought to tell you something right there. But, we should be bold as lions and harmless as doves. There's no sense in pulling any punches when we're doing it. That doesn't help anybody. But then again, we shouldn't get upset when the other side doesn't pull any punches too, because, hey man, we're all trying to get to the same place, right? Whether you keep the Sabbath day and understand that didn't change, or you keep Sunday, we don't do that to our brothers, man. We should help each other. We should try to build each other up and be able to reason together and sit down and talk on the phone, like me and my brother today, which was really good. We were able to sit down and talk, man, and just talk, and we were like friends, and we reasoned together, even though we didn't agree on some principles and things. It never led to an argument or a fight. Nobody hates each other. Nobody got punched in the face, which we were on the phone, but that'd be kind of hard. But I just thought it was really good. And brother, if you do happen to come across this video or anything, I want to tell you thank you, man. It really helped me out. I really learned a lot today. Whether we agree or disagree on doctrine, I learned a lot just from talking to another brother, man. He loves the Lord, and ain't no doubt about it. So, what was God's purpose originally in the beginning? I mean, what was it? When we go back to the garden, He created, and when He finished up, He said everything was very good. What was His intent there? I mean, He gave them one commandment, one thing to do. I mean, it starts right off with a commandment. They broke the commandment. And then things go all to pieces, man. So nothing's changed. If you can't, the Father's law is not a burden. He even tells you that. He's like, my law is a law of liberty. It's not too hard to do. We make it hard And, you know, when Jesus was on this earth, the Pharisees had already muddled everything up by adding their traditions and doctrines of men on top of the Torah, making it a burden, which is what Messiah railed about. Was he told them, he said, when they're sitting in the seat of Moses, listen to them, but don't do what they do when they get up, because they add to and they take away from the word. So what was God's purpose originally? You know, and this is just thoughts. I'm not doing a whole bunch of teaching, man. I just kind of want to get it out there and have an introduction. You know, are we gonna keep what the Bible says, or are we gonna keep the doctrines of men? I mean, what are we supposed to do? I mean, what did Messiah rail about? You know, he's like, he said, surely, to the Pharisees, he said, surely you make void the law of God to hold fast to your traditions of men. Kind of says it all right there, doesn't it? I mean, without getting in too much detail with that, because that's actually one of the things I want to teach on later, but not tonight. What we're doing here is we are actually looking for like-minded believers, Torah-observant people that believe on Messiah and believe the way we do and understand. You know, we are looking for that, so we're putting it out there. We do a lot of home groups, especially on Friday nights, Shabbat. I keep Saturday for the family, but anybody's always welcome. And I'm not going to put my address out there yet or anything like that. We'll figure that out later. You know, but that's what we're looking to do. And one more thing that I kind of wanted to get into, and I won't make it long, is that I think a lot of people forget about, is the covenants. What's a covenant? You know, covenants have rules. If we have a original covenant and a renewed covenant, and mind you, the Bible is like this. You know, it's just because something new or something was renewed, which is really more what it was. It's more like a marriage and a remarriage. Because God married Israel on Mount Sinai. That's pretty much a Hebrew wedding that happened there. The cloud was the chuppah. We can go into great detail on that on a study, but God married Israel that day, and the Torah is the wedding vows, and that has not changed in the new covenant, because he had to send his son to bring his bride back, because in his own Torah, if a man divorces an adulterous bride, he can never remarry that woman. She can't come back. Israel was his bride, and yes, he did divorce them in the Old Testament. Divorced, done. In order to bring them back, he had to send a part of himself down here to die and resurrect. That's why Messiah is coming back for his bride. His bride's Israel. It's always been Israel. So when we get into these doctrines that we're not Israel, we don't do like the Israelites do, I understand where people can be coming from on that, because yeah, they transgressed, they were adulterous, they were idolatrous, they went after other gods. I know, I get it, that's why they got divorced, but he never stopped loving his bride. So in his own Torah, he died and rose a new man so that he could bring his bride back, and paid the death penalty in the Torah for us. That was the ordinances that were against us, that was not for us. Doesn't that make sense? If there was ordinances in the first vows that were against us, which was death, I think that would be an ordinance that's against you. If you don't do this, you're gonna die. You know, I'm gonna kill you. You know, that makes a lot of sense. So Christ paid that death penalty, not to do away the commandments and the law, you know, because he's our high priest now. He's our kingly priest. He's our king. What's a kingdom without law? I mean, are we not? Is the kingdom not coming down here? The New Jerusalem coming down here? You don't think that there's going to be laws? There's laws in heaven. You know, there's things that there's things that we're required to do. Jesus says, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." That means, guess what? There is a yoke. That means there's something you got to do. And what does belief mean anyway? Especially in the Hebrew. What is belief? Faith unto obedience. So you can say you have faith, but are you faithful? That's what I'm asking. You can say you believe, but are you faithful? If he's our husband and we're the bride, are you being a faithful bride? Are you breaking the wedding vows? Because that doesn't make him happy. He can't bless you like that. You can't. You can't do. It doesn't work like that, you know. But those are teachings for another time when we're actually going to get into it. This was just the introduction, but the covenants, you know. I think people kind of forget what covenants really are, man. It's a covenant, and in the old covenant, guess what? The nations were always welcomed in, except for the ones where he said go kill everybody. But when he gave them the law, he said, now go be a light to the nations. Well, why does he want them to be a light to the nations? To bring them into the covenant. Because in the old covenant, for the Gentile to come in, he had to be circumcised and keep the Passover. There's an order here. You know, our Elohim, our Most High, he's got an order. There's an order to things. Take Paul. What was going on? Why was he the apostle to the Gentiles? To bring them into the covenant. Not so that they could be something different. There's one way. Just one, right? There's only one way. But that doesn't mean there's only one part to that way. You know, there's belief and faith. But there's got to be obedience. So what do we obey? What is sin? Let's go to 1 John 3:4. I'll probably end on this because then this is going to spawn a good teaching, I think. So if anybody actually does see this and picks it up and checks it out, like I said, if you like it, and subscribe and send me a comment because if you're close or something, you know, we might can fellowship together, some things like that. If you don't like it, that's cool too. Be respectful, please, because I do show this stuff to my kids, and my wife does see it. So, if you don't mind, please be respectful. So let's go to 1 John 3:4, and I talked a little bit about this today with the brother. Where am I at? 1 John. Oh, here we go. It's always there. 1 John 3:4. Where do you go? Okay, here we go. 1 John 3:4. Whoever committeth sin, transgress also the law. For sin is transgression of the law. If you read that in the Scriptures version, law is Torah. So, I mean, we know that in the King James, anytime it's talking about the law, it's talking about the law. Unless you're dealing with Paul. I mean, you got to really pay attention if you're reading Paul, because you might not know what he's talking about. I think he might be talking about 7 different laws in there. Just kind of joking, but that's the definition in the Bible of sin. So here's some food for thought for anybody listening, and it doesn't matter to me who it is because, like I said, I'm coming in love. I'm coming in respect to everybody. Last thing I want to do is put anybody down for what they believe, because I'm telling you, brothers and sisters out there, just a simple fact that I came to Torah, and I tell people that I came to Torah because, you know, there's things I just can't do. We don't eat swine. We don't keep the holidays. You know, we don't do the Christmas and things like that. That's another teaching. But You wouldn't believe what people would tell you and say to you because you want to obey your Messiah. Because he came and he died to pay our death penalty. Nobody else could do that for you. It could only be him. And his blood was sprinkled on the altar up there. So, to me, I want to do whatever I can, since he saved me, to please him and the Father, right? Because now he's my advocate. When everybody says, you keep Torah, so you're going to keep all 613 of the laws? No, don't really have to keep that many. Reason being, yeah, there's 613 of them, but there's quite a few laws that deals with a woman's menstrual cycle and pregnancy and things like that, and they don't apply to me. Circumcision doesn't apply to the women. You know, Christ he's our priest now. He's our high priest, so, you know, that kind of not takes away. I don't ever like to say the priesthood changed. You can see that in Hebrews. It was a change in the priesthood, a necessary change, by the way, because the old covenant was fading away. Why? Why was it? People go, see, the old covenant fade away, it's done. No, the old covenant without Christ. The new covenant is with Christ. So now it's law and grace. Right? It's law and grace. You keep the Torah to the best of your ability. We got to live in this flesh, man. That's what my Baptist preacher used to say, and I love him to death, man, because I learned a lot from him, man. He used to say, you know, Brent, I got to live in this flesh too, you know. And I almost think that he might have been kind of referring to Paul, where he was like, you know, my spirit. I'm not trying to quote it because I don't have it open there, but you know, his spirit tries to get him, in his spirit he wants to do what he's supposed to do, but his flesh don't want to do that. So it's a battle, man. It's not only is it a battle on the spiritual level, we battle this every day. We're gonna fall down. We're gonna mess up. I messed up in those 2 first videos I made, you know, just by coming with the wrong spirit and feeling like that, you know, I didn't do a good job of getting the message out there the proper way. You know, I fell down, I stumbled, I asked forgiveness for that. You know, I prayed to the Most High through the mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus of Christ. You know, and I'm forgiven for that, man. You know, so what do? I've been forgiven, so I don't sit there waller in the mud. You pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, and you keep on rocking, man. You do better. You turn away from that sin, you repent, and turn back to the Father. So if sin is transgression of the law, then what's the law for? Paul said, without the law, I wouldn't know what sin is. It tells you what sin is. That's what it is. Disobedience is sin. If he laid it out there, and you just purposely don't do it, you're sinning. That's just the bottom line, and that's coming with love. That's coming with love, because, I mean, you know, as Paul said, I love you enough to tell you the truth. That's for sure. Whoever it is out there that might be listening, man, I love you enough to tell you the truth. I tell this to people all the time when they're chaffing me about this stuff, man. What are you doing with all that Torah stuff, man? You know we don't have to do that anymore. Yeah, well, I think we do. I think we do. Who told you we didn't? Who told you didn't? Who told you shouldn't? As a matter of fact, you should want to. Sometimes that kind of cuts a little deep. Maybe you should want to. Maybe the Torah is not the problem. Maybe this is a problem. Just saying. Disobedience. Why look for ways to get around just being obedient? He says it's not too hard to do. That's what the Father said. And then the Messiah said, my yoke is easy and my burden's light. It's not too hard to do. If you got a problem with it, you got a problem with it. Take it up with him. Don't, you know. But anyway, I hope this video helps. I hope it wasn't too all over the place. And I hope I came this time in the right spirit, because I know I'm coming in love. That's not an issue, because I love everybody. And I hope nobody thinks I'm too hard, you know, just by telling the truth. You go, well, how do you know that's the truth? If you don't alter anything in here, hey, look, isn't this good enough? I mean, there it is. That's good enough. This is good enough for me and my family, me and my bride and my 3 kids, and the people and the close friends I have. This is enough for me right here. If it's in here, I do it. If it ain't in here, I don't do it. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I do things. I'm kind of a simple guy, not like simple-minded. I don't think I'm, you know, not intelligent. I'm probably not the most intelligent person there is, but I'm not unintelligent, I don't think. I'm sure I'll probably get some comments about not being intelligent, but that's all right. I can take that, man. I'm rock hard on the outside. Hard as a coffin nail. But, well, you better be, because I just put myself out here on YouTube for everybody to see. But I don't think I said anything that should offend anybody. Just trying to get the truth out there, do my part for the kingdom, do my part for the Messiah. He does so much for us. So why can't we do a little bit for him? You know, he and the Father's done so much for us. You know, what's the problem? What's the problem with being obedient? But remember, you know, out there in YouTube land, if you ever want to try to accuse me of not following Messiah, or that I'm denying Messiah by keeping the Torah, go in the Bible, and I'm not even going to give you, I ain't even going to give you the verses. It's like homework. Go in the Bible and find out what a good work is to God. Go in the Bible and find out what that is. Because guess what? We don't get to decide what a good work is. He does. But I'll give you a little hint, because I got a little saying I like to say. I didn't make it up, but I'm going to end with this. If you want to try to accuse me of not following Messiah or denying Messiah or whatever it is that people like to say about people that just want to be obedient and keep the Torah and not muddle around with theology and theologians and things like that. Jesus is the root. The Torah is your fruit, baby. You know what I'm saying? Jesus is the root. The Torah is the fruit. If you're worshiping Messiah, you're supposed to be producing fruit. If you ain't producing fruit, snip, snip, gone. All right, brothers and sisters, I'm done. It's getting late. It's already been 48 minutes, and I was kind of wanting to do a 10-minute video, but hey, that's just the way it's going to be. If you get to see this video, like I said, give me some feedback, so you know that I could get some dialogue going. If you leave me a negative comment, I'll probably do a video on that, but I won't be mean about it. As long as it's not a nasty comment. Like if you say, "Oh, Brent, man, you're full of it, dude. What about this verse right here?" That's why I didn't give a ton of verses, because I want people to come at me with some stuff, you know. And we'll have some fun with it, because, again, I ain't out here to hurt nobody's feelings. I'm just out here trying to do the work, baby. That's it. That's all I'm trying to do. So, love y'all out there. Like and subscribe, or hate me and don't. Don't matter to me. Be good, be safe, and keep it real out there, man. I'm out.